Welcome to the Network Build Grow podcast, the show where business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals share their stories, lessons learned, and powerful strategies for building relationships and growing their circle of influence. With Melissa Taylor, your host, each week we'll bring you actionable insights to help you build a better network and a better business. Let's dive in.
Eleni Gates, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic today, Melissa. I'm excited to be here chatting.
I am so excited to be here. We met each other just a few short months ago, and I've been so impressed with your ability to jump in and give actionable advice to people. And you're just an open book. It's so great.
You know, I try my best. Networking is all about building relationships, and that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, it is. Well, let's first, before we get into kind of networking, tell me a little bit about Gates Hospitality Group and really kind of why you wanted to have this started in your life. Why now? And what is it? What do you do for people?
Yes, there's so much behind that question. Gates Hospitality Group is a strategic communications firm with a heart of hospitality. So
Oh,
what I do is I help consumer-facing brands and leaders communicate with clarity, credibility, and purpose. That's in a nutshell. So
okay.
how this all came to be is much more elaborate than that, but people ask why hospitality is in the name of a communications firm, and my whole life has been in hospitality. I grew up in my parents' restaurant on Siesta Key. It was a breakfast and lunch place. So from the time I was 5 years old, kind of bobbling around, I was helping bus tables and seat people. And by the time I was old enough to count back change in the register, back when people used cash, I was able to work the register and really learn what it means to be an entrepreneur. My parents still run the business today. So I grew up in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I went to college, I studied public relations and I wrote for the student newspaper. I waited tables through college and landed at First Watch Restaurants as a manager of PR after college. So for those who might not know, it's a national breakfast and lunch concept that had about 100 restaurants back when I joined. Now they're over 600. But through that, I was still working in the restaurant industry, but using my PR degree, my communication skills that I had learned to help the brand through all sorts of stages of growth, private equity transactions, COVID, an IPO. I found myself working in investor relations, things that I never really thought would come from my life in hospitality. So through that, I learned I love change. I love learning new things, and I love the hospitality mindset of service and kindness. And once First Watch went public, in working in investor relations, was feeling a little bit like an imposter in not having a financial background. So I had been tasked with telling the brand story to not customers anymore, but to institutional investors and through the lens of financial statements. And that was a little overwhelming for me. So I went back to school and got my MBA. And also kind of during that time I was going through the MBA program, I realized I was personally more fulfilled when First Watch was smaller and private and growing and pushing the boundaries and testing limits. And, becoming a public company changes some of the way a business operates. So
a lot of the way.
A lot of the way. And it was an incredible experience, an awesome training ground. I still have friends and mentors from my time there that I will never let go of. But then I found Firebirds Wood-Fired Grill here in Charlotte, which was a private, smaller, growing restaurant concept. And that kind of spoke to me. So I spent over 2 years with Firebirds, finished my MBA during that time. And I think finishing and furthering my education is what personally gave me the confidence to jump out and start something of my own. So now I'm able to bring that hospitality mindset and that experience and those communication skills to not only restaurant concepts, but other brands and leaders too.
Yeah, that's a great backstory. And it really helps you understand the marrying of it. Because I was actually wondering how the hospitality married with what you do. So I'm
Yes.
really glad that you shared that with us. So tell me, networking can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And when you start from college and going into the small hospitality world, and then you kind of went to the
Mhm.
corporate public, and then you kind of back. And how has networking played a part in your journey? And how is it going to be a part of this next step?
That is such a fun question, and one I actually was talking to a friend about this morning. As I'm on this entrepreneurship journey, I'm learning as I go, and I'm figuring that out as I go. But what I have learned so far is I'm a very relational person. And while I would love to have coffee with everyone I meet, so have stumbled into, well, there's also a job to do that I prioritize and have work to get done for. So I have learned to be very intentional about how I'm spending my time because as a solopreneur, Melissa, I am, yes, the PR strategist, and I'm also the accountant, and I'm also the business development manager, and I'm also all of these things.
The janitor. Yeah.
So I am learning how to integrate networking into all of that strategically in a way that helps me reach the goals that I'm setting out to network for.
Mhm. Yeah. And what are your goals? Like, what do you think are good goals for people to think about when they're out, at a networking event or reaching out through LinkedIn or whatever? Like, what are some of those goals that you kind of set?
I love this question because I think people don't realize there are so many different reasons they can network.
Hmm.
So some people, their goal of networking is to get out of the house and have some human interaction if they live alone or work from home.
Yep.
Some people are, maybe looking for their next job opportunity through networking.
Hmm.
Some people are looking for customers or clients or referral partners. Personally, in this early stage of my business, my primary goal is to learn and for personal development. I have never owned my business and my own business until now. So while I have the PR piece down, that is a fraction of the business as a whole.
Hmm.
So what I have learned through networking so far, and I'm continuing to learn as I get more involved, is how to run the business as a whole. How do I organize my days and my weeks now that I am the business?
Hmm.
How do I organize my contacts? I know you speak a lot on that and the
Yep.
importance of CRM and follow up and how to really leverage that network. So, my
Hmm.
purpose this year in networking is learning.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that because I know a lot of people in Network Build Grow, they do collaborations. So someone who's really good at systems and CRMs pairs up with someone who maybe is really good at PR and communications, and they swap services. Hey, let me help you set up your CRM so you can better take care of your contacts. And if you could take a look at my communications or help me with a press release for this thing that's coming out, let's just switch services a little bit. And it's such a great thing to see, them helping
Mhm.
each other with their zone of genius. And then you get
Yes,
to experience that. And then, of course, that's easier then for you to refer that person to other people because you've actually experienced their process.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And not only that, collaborators and partners where you can trade services, but
Mhm.
even folks who work in the same industry as I
Mhm.
do. I
Mhm.
had coffee this morning with a friend I met through Network Build Grow,
Mhm.
who is a PR consultant, strategist, and leader. We do very similar things,
Mhm.
but have different backgrounds and experiences and perspectives. And
Yes.
I learned a tremendous amount in an hour-long conversation with him, and the fact that there is room for everyone in the sandbox and we can lift each other up. And I've heard you say this many times before, it's an abundance mindset.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's what I love about sort of the network community that I'm now surrounded by.
Yeah, and isn't it great that I know the gentleman that you're talking about? Isn't it great? He just opened up his heart to you and his mind to you and just like, "Hey, here's what I've learned in my 30 some years in this business, and here's some information." It's so wonderful to see.
Yes. And it's how can we lift each other up? How can I support you? What are you looking to learn and accomplish, and vice versa?
Yeah, and I'm sure there was some more youthful ideas you maybe could share with him. So there's always, there's always reciprocity.
That's right.
Reciprocity. I love that. Okay. Well, let's do some kind of rapid fire question. Well, actually, before we get to the rapid fire, let me ask you a couple of more questions about your actual business. And we'll go back to networking in a minute. You do a lot of PR, communications, that kind of thing, which falls into the marketing realm.
Sure.
But you don't only deal with, your background is with restaurants, small restaurants, ones that are growing, franchising out, that kind of thing. What
Mhm.
other types of businesses do you really enjoy working with? Is it mostly brick and mortar, even if it's not restaurant, or do you like to have other types of brands?
See, yes, my experience is in hospitality, and my approach is very much through a hospitality mindset.
Mhm.
I have worked with, since I've launched my company, several different industries that don't have a brick and mortar presence, a life coach, authors, speakers, a
Right.
financial advisor. So while hospitality is my bread and butter, I love learning about these different verticals. And I've realized just how much crossover and transferable skills there are.
Mhm.
Because when I was working in house for restaurant companies, a lot of what I did on the corporate communication side was prepping executives for media interviews or keynote speeches, or
Mhm.
coming up with a LinkedIn strategy for CEOs that they can then execute and build their personal brand. And a lot of those skills apply especially to authors, speakers, wealth managers, entrepreneurs who are
Mhm.
trying to market themselves in an authentic way.
Mhm.
So consumer facing brands and leaders, I love to work with and help them clarify their positioning and their messaging.
Mhm.
And restaurants happen to be the bulk of the work that I've done.
That's great. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and don't ask me what it was. I don't remember. But they were talking about customer service, which has a lot to do with the hospitality kind of mindset. And it was interesting. She made the analogy of when a client or a customer interacts with your brand, it's kind of like them coming to your house, and you open the door, and you're going to let them in to your brand. You're going to let them in to see what you have going on, and you want to invite them in, show them where they can sit down, offer them a cup of tea, offer them a cup of coffee. But what most brands do is they do their advertising, which of course brings the person in the door, and then they kind of turn their back on them and just let them figure it out from there, instead of continuing that kind of hospitality mindset of being
Yes.
hospitable and continuing that journey with that client. So it was just a
Yes.
really interesting way of looking at it. And I was like, oh, that really kind of makes a lot of sense.
Yes, that speaks to my soul.
I'm sure it does. If you network for your business, you already know follow up is everything when it comes to growing relationships and driving success. But here's the thing, most of us want to follow up well. We just get stuck. Staying consistent, keeping it personal, making it stand out, it's hard. That's why I use NetEffect.io. It makes follow-up simple, cuts through all the noise, and helps me stay on top of every relationship without dropping the ball. I never miss a follow-up, and honestly, my network wouldn't be the same without it. So check it out, neteffect.io. And right now, you can use promo code NBG50 for 50% off of your first month. neteffect.io, your secret weapon to unforgettable follow-up. All right. Well, let's ask you some rapid fire questions specifically about networking. All right. You
Okay.
ready?
Hmm.
All right. When you go to an actual networking event, let's assume it's in person at this point, not virtual, it's in person, and you walk in the room. What's one of the first things that you try to accomplish?
I make sure I get my name tag so Melissa doesn't get mad at me. And then, you know, I'll catch eyes with the folks that I know, but really at a networking event, I'm not there to hang out with the folks that I know. So I try to seek out somebody new, someone who might not be currently engrossed in conversation, and introduce myself and ask them about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of networking anxiety initially when I started to go to these events more and started my own business. But I learned when you meet people and ask them about themselves and ask follow-up questions and really be engaged, it's an exhale. People love sharing their story, and that's how you build those relationships in an authentic way. So
Mhm.
that's my go-to.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a girl that has networking anxiety the other day, and she was asking me, how do you like keep them talking so you don't have to talk? And I said, well, in my book, Networking is a Contact Sport, we talk about the X games. And so you just ask them follow-up questions, like you said, by using the X words, right? Can you explain that? Can you give me an example? Can you, that's the kind of thing that you want to do is just keep them talking just by using your X game words.
Yes, and I know you're a podcast listener. Someone who does that so well is Brene Brown.
Yeah.
She always says, "Say more about that."
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
think that's such a cool way to
Hmm.
say, "I'm really interested in that. You've drawn me in, and I really
Hmm.
truly wanna learn more about what you have to say."
Yeah. Instead of like pounding them with another question and now it feels like an interview or,
Mhm.
or like, an inquisition of questions that someone's being
Yes.
asked. Okay. All right. Another rapid fire question for you. When you start to have those casual conversations with people and you decide, okay, there's some synergy here. This might really be something that could be a collaboration or a possible partner or even a possible client. What is your kind of go to take that next step? How do you set that up?
Yes. So, I first thing when I leave an event, I take all the business cards I've collected. Hopefully, everyone I've met and may potentially work with brought a business card because that's part of my system. I'll write down NBG February 13th and then a couple notes about what we talked about. And then I'll go back and always add everyone on LinkedIn that I've met. I just love to connect with everyone so we can keep in touch. But those folks where there's really some potential to learn from one another, grow together, work together, I always follow up with an email. Would love to have a virtual coffee or in person coffee if we live in the same area. And I'll continue to follow up, not in a salesy, pushy way, but in a loved our conversation because XYZ. I think we could really learn from one another. And I would love to pick your brain if you have time. But email is the primary way I do that.
That's great. Okay. So now let's go the opposite direction. And, tell me like, what is one thing that really kind of turns you off or gives you a red flag from somebody?
Uh, when people are way too salesy or pushy,
Yes.
immediate turn off. I I want to know you if we're just meeting. I want to
Mhm.
know what you do and how you think and what lights you up. But if you're pushing me to buy something from you in that first conversation,
Mhm.
I'm out. I'm done. This
Mhm.
is
Or
no
give
longer
you a
a
referral
conversation.
in the first conversation. Like,
Right.
mhm.
Yes. If you
Yeah,
are asking me to do you a favor 2 minutes into us meeting, that's a red flag for me.
that's a red flag. So there's a few people that I have come across recently in the networking world. They're doing something kind of interesting, something new, and I want to get your take on it. They meet somebody at an event, virtual or in person, whatever. They have an okay conversation, not incredibly in depth, but an okay conversation. They follow it up with an email, and part of the email says, I've attached a PDF of how you can refer me to people that you know to make it easier for you. And it's almost like a resume. What's your feeling on that?
I think if we didn't already talk about, oh my gosh, I have some great people I can refer you to, that feels invasive and pushy. I'm not
Yeah,
working for you. I don't work for you. If we've built a rapport and a relationship, then of course I'm happy to refer you. And I would love language that helps me do that.
yeah.
But not
Just
right
to
off the bat.
proactively offer it, I felt was a little odd. I felt very odd about it when I've received like at least 3 of them in the last couple of weeks, and I was like, "Wow, this is like a new thing I'm missing out on this boat because this feels a little awkward to me."
To me, it feels a little icky.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a brochure on them. I was like, You're giving me a brochure. That was very interesting.
Mhm.
Good. Okay. Well, I guess I'm not alone in that feeling. So it's
No, I'm with you.
confirmation. All right. Let's go with one last quick question. And then I'll let you get on with your day on this beautiful rainy day here in the Carolinas. But tell me, what is one of your favorite things to provide value to someone that you are kind of bringing into your circle of influence?
I am learning the best way to do this as a fairly new entrepreneur, but I love teaching and coaching, and ways that I'm doing that now that I'm on my own and I don't have, a team of direct reports, is through speaking and moderating. Next week, I'll be at a Women in Restaurant Leadership conference down in Charleston.
Great.
And I'm moderating a panel on marketing with meaning. And it's not a paid gig, but it's a way to not only learn from a panel of experts who lead marketing and PR in the restaurant industry, but to have conversation that sparks learning and maybe more questions with the audience. But it's a great way that I found to teach and coach and add value to folks that are not my clients, but maybe one day down the road they will be.
Yeah, I always tell people, I am a speaker coach in addition to, having Network Build Grow. And I tell people, when you have the microphone, you kind of get a little bit of instant credibility as long as you're not terrible. And
Yes.
it's a really good way to get seen, get known, get recognized for your expertise. So smart move. Congratulations. That sounds like a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation. Lots of fun stuff for people to think about. And I am so excited to have you in Network Build Grow, and we will see you very, very soon.
Yes. Have a great day.
Great.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Network Build Grow podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow entrepreneur or professional. And of course, if you're not yet part of our community, visit networkbuildgrow.com to connect with us. Until next time, keep building and keep growing.